Hey folks, it's Brad here from B&T Catfishing. Today we're going to discuss different types of hooks, specifically hooks for catfishing. So stick around for that. Okay folks, so we're going to discuss the different type of hooks today, and like I said, their uses. Specifically those types of hooks for catfish, as I said earlier. Um, Basically most any hook is going to catch your catfish or your fish, but some just do a much better job than others, and some, to be honest, are safer than other hooks. um, if you're trying to get those fish back safely into the water, if you're being conservation and minded there, and we want to see these fish reproduce. We want to see these fish grow. Um, and then obviously we've got to return these fish to the water safe as possible. Okay, but let's get into those hooks. First hooks we want to discuss here is the good old J hook, and it looks just like that, exactly what it says, a J hook. Now there's a J hook here, or this would be considered a J hook, but it's also in the octopus, excuse me, the camera work there, octopus family there, because the eye of the hook is bent back. All right, the J hooks have been around forever. It's probably one of the first type of hooks you started using when fishing. Probably a smaller version, and you were using it for bluegill or crappie or something of that nature. But the larger ones obviously work well for catfish. These are hooks that you definitely have to set the hook, usually to hook up well and catch your fish, unlike some of the hooks today that we're using. But the J hook has caught thousands and thousands and thousands of fish over the years, and it's a fine hook. The problem with the J hook is it's very thin, it's very sleek, and the way it's designed, it can be, inhaled by the fish, and a lot of times you can gut hook these fish, and which is not a problem if that's something that you're out looking for a meal and you're going to take these fish home. But if you're trying to release these fish safely back into the water, it's maybe not your best choice. The treble hook, just what it says. It's a three-pronged hook, and this is definitely what I would consider my grandfather's catfish go-to hook right here, folks. This is a hook that, if the catfish grabs it, it's probably going to hook up on this. Again, it can be inhaled. These smaller hooks can be inhaled by the larger catfish, and gut hook there, and obviously that hook is gonna doom that fish. So again, if you're using this hook, again, you may be want to be taking those fish home, because a lot of times they're just not being caught safely on these hooks. Again, these hooks work extremely well. You will notice they are a little thinner on the individual hooks themselves, so they can actually straighten out, and you can lose some fish that way. But a lot of times you'll have more than just the one hook in the fish. But for the larger catfish, again, they're probably going to swallow this if you're going to catch them on this, because a lot of times the loop in these, unless you just go to an extremely large hook, the loops are just not really that large to hook up, let's say, in the corner of the fish's mouth or in the bottom of its mouth. Now, these hooks a lot of times were used for chicken livers and dough baits and things of that nature, is what you'll find on it. It's not really necessarily a great deal for cut bait or live bait. The Kale Hook. Now, this type of hook generally is a little wider, and again can be used for cut bait because of how open this is here, as you can see on this green hook there. But what makes it a Kale hook is it generally, the point will go right to the eye of the hook. Now, it's very much like a circle hook. Now, this is technically going to fall into the circle hook family. It's a Kale hook. You can see by the shape it's very similar to the green one, but the point has that 90-degree bend back to the shaft of the hook there. But the Kale hook is a fine hook. It works well, and again, you know, I prefer this to be opened up a little bit more when I'm using cut bait myself or a live bait, but a lot of people really enjoy this hook. Again, sometimes they can run a little thinner depending on the size of your hook, and you can have those bigger catfish straightening some of these hooks out unless you go to a bigger size hook there. So the Kale hook is a nice hook. It is a wider type hook, and it's able to get in that catfish's mouth with the, a lot easier because of the size, and it's definitely a better bait for cut bait or live bait. And then we come to the good old circle hooks. That's right, and obviously they get their name because that's what they look like. Also, a circle, like they're creating a circle there. So the hook tip is bent back. On this one over here, again, it's a circle octopus hook. We know that because the eye is bent back. The circle hook is a wonderful hook people are using nowadays. The thing about circle hooks, unlike a hook like the J hook you have to usually set the hook by jerking back and pulling that hook through the fish's mouth. You don't really have the same problem here with the circle hook. The circle hook, once that line tightens up in that fish's mouth, when he takes off and runs, it is pretty well self-setting in that hook or in that fish's mouth. The hook is a wonderful hook. You very rarely have it swallowed and belly hook a fish with this particular hook. So it's a very safe hook. It usually catches right in the corner of the fish's mouth, and for just an easier release and a safer release for the fish. So the circle hook is a wonderful hook, again, for cut bait and or live baits. You can downsize to the smaller one and obviously use your night crawler if you want to as well. But the circle hook is definitely one of the most popular hooks today for catfishing. Folks, I hope that helped you learn a little bit more about hooks today and their possible uses and what you might decide to use that could be safer for the fish out there if you're trying to return them out there to the water safely. I have, been known to keep some fish in my time. And I also have been known to, the majority of the time, we release our fish. We want those bigger fish, especially back in the water. We want them reproducing. We want them growing larger. These are trophy fish. And, it can be a trophy fish when I catch it, but I can put it back in the water and that fish can grow, in the next 2 years, and someone else might catch it. And before it's all said and done, that fish may have been caught 3 or 4 times by different people who have caught themselves a trophy fish. So I don't want to deny that to other people. I'm going to return that fish back to the water, and hopefully some young man or woman is going to catch that fish and have a fishing tail for a lifetime. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to like our page and subscribe. Share it with your friends and your family there. Become part of our family at B&T Catfishing Adventure. Me and Miss Tammy will be back on the water soon, and we hope you'll join us there. Y'all have a good evening, and we will see you later.